The man never uses any tools when welding steel plates. He only uses one finger. With just that, he can weld two steel plates together. What shocked everyone even more was that the man merely stretched out his palm, and it drew in all the surrounding iron and steel materials. He could also make the welded steel plates show no trace of any welding marks. The reason he's so powerful is because he's the #1 welder in the world. But an accident 3 years ago made him completely vanish from public sight. It all started when terrorists attacked a hotel and planted a bomb inside. When the police announced that they couldn't defuse the bomb, the man stepped forward and told everyone that he could weld the bomb inside an explosion-proof steel shell. With his skills, nothing should have gone wrong, but the very next second, the hotel exploded. Badly injured, the man was rescued by a passing woman. That woman happened to be the daughter of a steel factory director. After discovering that the steel plates had been switched, the man decided to investigate the truth. He took on a new identity and began working at the steel factory. His daily task was to weld steel plates. Until one day, to secure investment from a major corporation, the factory had to produce a piece that would impress them. But the director's assistant called in sick. They needed a new assistant. When the workers heard it was for the investors, they all refused. Glancing at the man, who was still just an intern, someone suddenly had an idea and pushed him forward to assist the director. The moment the woman saw him, she wanted to drive him away. She said outright that he was just an intern and could never handle the job. Only the director beside her wanted to give the man a chance. He asked him to heat a simple brass plate, but the man skipped the temperature-adjusting step and heated it with his bare hands. Just when everyone thought he would fail, they saw the brass plate in his hand glow with perfect red patterns. The director immediately decided to make him the new assistant. The director's student, James, wanted to object, but the director insisted the man help, as the investor's deadline was near. Seeing this, James reluctantly agreed, then handed 2 copper pieces to the man and asked him to weld the handle for the project. He stated the standards he wanted, but before he finished speaking, the man had already finished welding the handle. James could only toss the handle's decorations to him again, throwing them in front of him. Similarly, in less than a minute, the man welded the decorations perfectly. Though James was disdainful, he still followed the director's orders and attached the handle to the piece. The man then received another task, to weld 2 brass ornaments together. Soon, James's main piece was done, but the man was still welding his. To prepare for the investors' inspection, they had to present a new ornament and brought it before the investors. As expected, they were met with the investors' angry scolding because they hadn't used the required spot welding, and the flat weld marks were glaringly visible. Only the handle welded by the man was the part that satisfied the investors the most. Upon hearing this, the director immediately realized they had been sabotaged. They had been told to use flat welding. While he was still puzzled, his younger brother Jack entered with his men. Pretending to be kind, he criticized the director, claiming he had clearly said spot welding. He then expressed regret that their father had handed the factory to his brother. At this point, the director realized that all of this was Jack's plot, aiming to take over the factory. Just then, the man entered with his finished ornament. When the investor looked at it, he immediately wanted to touch it, but Jack stopped him, saying the man's welds were trash and would dirty his hands. The investor gave up the idea of checking and expressed his disappointment in the factory. At that moment, James also blamed the man for bringing shame to their factory. Hearing that, Jack seized the chance and used it as a stronger excuse, accusing the director of irresponsibility for letting an intern handle the welding. He then threw the man's ornament to the ground, but the ornament reflected a silver gleam from the window. Everyone was instantly puzzled, not understanding why the welded part was shining. But the director knew this was the highest form of welding technique, leaving no visible seams after welding. Jack refused to believe him. He kicked the ornament out of the room. To prove his own worth, he introduced his 3 top welding experts to the investors, saying their skills would surely impress them. But his only condition was that the director transfer ownership of the factory to him. The investor was about to agree, but the director refused. To protect his factory, he didn't hesitate for a second and challenged Jack to a welding contest. The The loser would give up ownership of the factory and never be allowed to weld again. Under the investor's witness, the contest began. The first round's requirement was spot welding. Jack's contestant was the son of last year's second-place winner. The director, however, wanted the man to compete. The man, who didn't want to at first, agreed in order to repay the woman's kindness. When both contestants lifted their covers, everyone was stunned. The steel they had to weld was a 50-millimeter thick rebar, not only heavy, but extremely difficult to weld. Yet neither contestant gave up. Jack's contestant moved swiftly, spot welding 3 joints together. Just when everyone thought he was done, he picked up his tool again to perfect the finishing touches. When they saw his final work, the crowd couldn't hide their amazement. They thought it was clearly today's winning piece, because he had used the fish scale welding technique. By then, the man had also finished, but the next second, he threw his work into the nearby water tank. Just as everyone thought he had given up, a golden light emerged from the water. Then, a giant golden dragon flew out.